Hello all, this is Ronnie with Ronnie's Art from the Heart. I wanted to come on today and show those of you who got a paint kit from me how to go and paint our blue pumpkin harvest. So this is what your paint kit looks like. Well, this is what your paint kit will look like when you're finished. Your kits you received had the pre-etched canvas and all the paint in the back and all your step-by-step instructions. So what I'm going to do for you today is I'm just going to go ahead and paint that for you. I'm doing it on a canvas board, so it's not going to be on a canvas and it's a smaller size than yours. It's just easier for me to store it when it's on a canvas board. What I've already done, so I'm going to adjust my camera, so give me just a few seconds to get that adjusted. I'm not the best at the techie stuff. So, what I already did, which would take the longest, and I didn't want you guys to have to watch me outline, is I got my flat brush. So the flat brush that you're going to get in your kit, or that you did get in your kit, is what you're going to use. And you're just going to put a little bit of paint on it, and you are just going to outline around everything. So everything, and then you're going to fill in these areas. So, oops, I missed one area, so you get to see. I missed right in here. So I'm just going to take the brush and fill in that area. Oh, this one's a little wet still. I just washed it. Okay, so that's how you're going to do it. You're just going to fill in this area. Plain and simple like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to go and take everything in the background is going to be blue. So we're just going to go ahead and paint everything blue. Because this background is supposed to be a fence, we're going to try to paint it in this, we're not going to try, we are going to paint it the way the wood grain would be going. So your slats that you have going down are your boards on the fence that are coming down, and the one that's going across at the top and at the bottom are going across. So down, we're going to paint down. Across, we're going to paint across. So I'm just going to quickly paint. This does not need to be beautiful in any way. We just need to get it covered with blue. We are going to cover this. We're going to also add some black into it, some white, and also that bronze into it. So just go ahead and paint away. Be careful going around the plants. Here's another plant that I forgot to outline, so just be careful. If you want to, if you accidentally cover over your plants, it's not the end of the world. It is okay because we're going to go over them green. And the green usually, you might have to do 2 coats, but it usually covers the blue fine. So I am on a canvas board, and it does take, I've noticed, more paint than painting on a canvas because it dries quicker. So I'm trying to get this done before all my paint does dry. Okay, so I'm just going up, just following the panels up. And what I want from anyone who joins my paint class, who gets one of my paint kits, is I don't want this to be a stressful experience to you. I started painting at a very troubling, the worst time in my whole life. And the therapy and the comfort that it has given to me, that's why I want to share, I want to share painting with you so you can also receive that as well. So if it's, I don't want it to be stressful. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by it not looking right. Just trust the process and the steps. It's not going to look good in the beginning because it's a whole process you have to go through. And if you spend the time worrying about it not looking right, you're going to lose out on the benefit of just relaxing and letting the process do its job, I guess. So as you can see, I'm just covering. So at the top, when I painted blue at the top, I just went across. and just went across and painted blue. So because I'm on a canvas board, you can see some of the white coming through. That is actually fine because I'm going to add white to it anyway, so it's perfectly fine. You want to try not to make it, try to get it not streaky, so just go ahead. If you have streaky areas, get them out. The bottom is also, it's the bottom board of the fence, so we're just going to go ahead and paint the bottom straight across. Just get up in here, just follow it around a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to cover it with grass down at the bottom. But you do want it to be colored in to an extent. Okay, just go across, get your nice smooth stroke across. And there we go. We got our background painted blue. Yay! What I'm going to do without washing my paintbrush. So I'm not washing my paintbrush. If I didn't tell you, you're using your largest paintbrush for this step. We're not washing the brush. I'm going to dip it into the white paint. I'm not washing it. And I'm just going to pull some white through it. So I'm going to start at the top, where the top of my fence is, with the board slats coming down. And I'm just going to pull some white through it. You see that I'm just pulling that white. And after I pull, I'm just going to keep pulling and get that white in there and make it have some texture and some age in our fence. And we're pulling it down because the boards are going down. Just come and pull it down, all the way down. To go across, and it doesn't have to be perfect in any way. If you want, you can add more white, you can add less white. This is your art. You don't even have to add white. It just gives it good texture. And we're going to now go across and just go across and just blend that in a little bit. Some places are going to have more white than others. That is fine. If it gets too white for you, hey, go ahead and put some blue back in there. And that's fine as well. And it got a little too white for me, so I want to get some of that off my brush and just add some more blue through there. There we go. We're going to do the same. I'm going to pull these down a little more from the top. We're going to then go and get some white and go across the bottom real quick. Just real quick across the bottom. And just pull some white through there. I have a canvas board, so it moves around because it's so much smaller. It's like, I think, a 9 by 11, I think, so it's pretty small. Okay. All right. You can rinse your paintbrush. You can keep your paintbrush with the paint on it that you had, because what we're going to do is we're going to now let the background dry before we do anything more to it, and we are going to get some white. So we're going to now get the white, and we're going to start working on the inside of the pumpkin. So you're going to just do like a C-shaped, a curve shape, and you're going to just follow the outline of the pumpkin and just follow it down. As you can see, it's outlined for you, so it's easy to follow. But if you get any of the white over into the blue a little bit, don't worry about it. Your pumpkin should get a little bit of blue in there. So your brush may have blue in it, which you want the blue in it. So that's perfectly fine. So don't worry about having fresh white paint, and just pull that white paint down through. You can paint right over top of the leaves, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to do my C here. And you can see, I hope that you can see some of this blue. It adds the shading. If you do not want your pumpkin to be blue, that is fine. If you have a different color, that is fine. Please be creative. Please make it your art. I'm just giving you a guide, but I want your art to be your art 100%. So I'm going to just keep going until I get my pumpkin all the way painted. I dipped into some blue some more because I didn't have enough, and lo and behold, I got enough. Quite a bit down there. And I'm just going to keep going and fill up my pumpkin. Following that C-shaped motion, because that is going to give us the shape of the pumpkin. You can add more blue to it. You can add more white to it. It is perfectly fine. Like I said, if you want it to be a different color, please, by all means, make it a different color. It's up to you. It's your pumpkin. I really like, and I'm going to come right over top of this pumpkin here because we're going to paint over him anyway. So I really like the white and blue pumpkin look. I don't know. It's just something I really like. So you will still see some outlining under your pumpkin. You want that. That's fine. So don't touch the outlining under your pumpkin. Okay. So now I'm going to start the other pumpkin. So we went down. We covered up the pumpkin. It's darker blue than I wanted it to be, which is really good because then you can see it a little better. So I'm glad about that. So we covered our whole pumpkin, the big one blue. Well, whitish blue. Now we're going to go and do the same with the smaller pumpkin. We're going to be following the outline of the smaller pumpkin. And just make a C shape and follow it down. We're going to do that for all 3 sections of the small pumpkin. Follow the curve. On the right side, we're going to make a backward C. Following it all the way to give us our pumpkin shapes. This is giving us our little sections of our pumpkin. So this part is very important. You don't want to just color it all in. You want to make sure you follow the ridges, I guess they would be called in the pumpkin. And you can paint right over because we're going to paint over the leaves. You can still see the leaf outline and we're going to paint the leaves. So it's okay to paint over the leaves. You'll still be able to see them to get your leaf in there. Okay, so maybe I won't add too much more blue. Fix up my shape down here. Oh, there's another spot that I missed my blue. I don't know how I did that. I have to go add that real quickly. So we're going to get started on that pretty soon. So no clue how I missed that. So unlike me, make sure all your blue areas are filled in. Okay. I don't know how I missed that much of it. Down here too. Oh me, oh my. Okay, there we go. So that is done. Hope you guys can see it. We want to let our pumpkin dry a little. So we're going to go work up on the stem. And this is the part that gets really fun to me, because this is when you're going to use your bronze colored paint. And you'll notice that it's creamy. It's not like a regular paint. You're going to get your brush. Your rounded brush is what you're going to use for this. And what you're going to do is you're going to get your paint. And we're going to make 2 layers of this because it goes on very thin. But, put it here because I don't want to dip it back into the container and get blue paint in there. That would be terrible. We are going to just fill in the pumpkin stem. So I don't want to do it down there yet. I'm going to let it dry a little bit. But I'm just going to fill in. I'm going to turn my board. When I paint, I turn my paintings all over the place. But I'm just going to fill in the the goldish color. It is going to be transparent. That's fine. Because when we go back with the second coat, we're going to kind of glop it on almost. And give that stem some really nice texture. Okay, so just putting that on there. There we go. So I got my first stem done. Now I'm going to go with a huge glob right there, which is kind of okay. But all right, so I'm going to start down here and do the same thing. In this round, I am going to paint it, like I said, and it's going to be a little transparent because the next time we're going to glop it on and it is going to look really, really nice. Okay. And I'm hoping my pumpkin is dry enough. Not too dry. So I'm going to wait to do the rest of my stem because my pumpkin isn't dry enough. Okay. Now we're going to go and move on to those leaves. With the leaves, you guys have more than one paint. So you are going to use your darker paint. You're going to take your darker paint. And you are going to use, you can use the flat brush that came with it. You can use the rounded brush. Both of them will be fine. Also, I do want to let you know, this brown is going to be used as an accent on the leaves. It's going to be used throughout the painting. We're going to put it on with our palette knife. So make sure you don't go overboard on the stems. Even though I said we're going to glop it on, it goes a long way. So don't go overboard with it. Okay, so we're just going to start the stems. I'm going to come over to these stems because they should be a little more dry. These leaves, because they should be a little more dry over here. All you're going to do is quickly paint in the leaves. My brush is a little wetter than I would like it to be. But as I was saying, I really hope that you can take your painting time as just a time to unwind. Whatever your reason to decide to paint, maybe it's just something you always wanted to do. Maybe you're just a mom and need a break. Maybe it's just you need a little therapy, because I'm going to let you know, painting has done wonders for me. This time last year, I went through something very tragic and did not think I would make it through. And I started painting, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And that's why it's so much of a desire to just share it so that others can get blessed by it as much as I have been. And find some comfort in it. Someday I may share my story. I'm just not ready to share it now. But someday I will fully share my story with you, and you'll understand then how much painting why it means so much to me. So this leaf here is behind the one, so we're just going to paint it behind. We can go ahead and paint that one again to make it look like it's on top. And even though you painted, because we used light colors, now if you use a different color, it might be hard to make out your leaf petals, but that's fine. You can draw your own. You can get creative. You can add little swirlies on them. You can make them as fancy as you want. You can make them as plain as you want. That's the joy of painting. It's yours, and it can look however you want it to look. Okay, so we're almost done with this round of the leaves over here. I did not paint the stem first. No reason behind that. It's just I always skip painting the stems. I think it's because I don't like painting the stem. I struggle with making a straight line. Alrighty. So we have our two sets of leaves. And we're going to come on over here and just do the same thing over here and fill it in. I hope I don't keep you too long doing this. That's why I did the edging with the blue first, because I didn't want to keep you long. This is a very fun, simple painting. And I'm so excited about for everyone that did receive one of my kits. I am doing a raffle this month for people that entered my drawing at my vendor events. They will be receiving a kit free. I'll be doing that drawing this Sunday to see who the winner is. I will announce it if they're okay with being announced. If not, I'll keep their privacy I'll keep that information private. But I'm very excited to pick the winner of my little raffle. There's no rhyme or reason how I'm doing it. I'm just putting the green on. And just filling it in. This is my very first painting live. I've been a little anxious about doing it. Okay, so this leaf right here is going to be behind. So make sure you put it behind this leaf here. And we're going to go and draw some little accents and everything around it. So if you're popping on, please let me know you're here so I know that you're here. You can go, as I said, back over and do a second coat on the leaves if you want. For the sake of your time, I'm not going to do a second coat. But if you feel like your leaves really, really need that second coat, please, by all means, go back and do it. You should have more than enough paint to do that. And the set of leaves are painted. Okay, I'm going to go and jump over. Oof, some of them are too light for me. I really want to put that second coat on, but for the sake of time, I don't want to do that to you guys. So I'm just going to run into the ones that really need a little touch up here of paint. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my lighter paint. So you have a lighter green. Mine is almost gone. I'm just going to dip right out of the container. And all you're going to do is you're going to just go and draw like a line, however you want. We're just drawing some just dimension to our leaves. We want them to have a little texture. And adding the multicolors gives our leaves a little bit of texture. And again, my leaves really could use a second coat. I just don't want to keep you on while I put a second coat and wait for them to dry. You can always use a blow dryer if you want to like add a second coat and yours are taking a little too long to dry, and that's perfectly fine. All right, so I got my little green. I don't know if you can see it. I'm putting the little accent on here, just a brush stroke through the leaf. No special rhyme or reason to it. Just adding some color and dimension to the leaves. You think about almost everything in nature is so colorful. And very few things are just one color. And if they are one color, they're usually a mixture of one color. Okay, so I got that done. Almost put my paintbrush in my cup of coffee. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that exciting gold that I love to use, and or bronze, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to streak through, give some texture, make this painting really fun. For those of you who ordered the kit from me, definitely you're going to just like, you can follow the directions step by step if you want. That's why they're there. But if you would rather see me paint live, definitely hop onto this video. You'll be able to catch it as the replay as well. I didn't really tell anyone I was going on today, so I do apologize by that. But I was so nervous being the first time that I was going to do a painting live. I've painted other stuff but never a painting. So I was just like, let me do it right now. I have the nerve to do it. I'm going to do it right this minute. And I jumped on. So I figured if I told people, then my nerve might disappear. And okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take that darker green. This is my struggle. You're going to get your smallest brush and you're going to wet it, rinse the brush, and you're going to push it out into a tip. You have the same exact brush, so you'll be able to do it. Get your darker paint, tiny, tiny bit on the brush, tiny bit. And we're going to just follow the lines down for the stem. They should still be visible. If they're not, just gauge it. You do have a colored picture to be able to follow. And you're just going to lightly go. You're going to need to keep reloading. Otherwise, it will get flat and yucky looking. You want a nice, smooth stem. There we go. There is step 1 finished. And we're going to do stem 2. Stem 2 is kind of going to bend. What's helpful is to know where you're going to go. So look at where you're going to go, not really necessarily where you're at. And just follow the stem up. And like I said, just trust the process of your painting. There we go. We got stem number 2. Come right over here. Stem, oops, almost stem number 3. Stem number 3. And almost stem number 4. Make sure you keep reloading your brush. Otherwise, it will not give you a nice, smooth look. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to add some of that lighter green just to go up the stem, just to give it more than one color. So we're just going to add that lighter green right up the stem. Like I said, most things in nature are not just one flat, solid color. I don't really know that blue pumpkins are a thing, but I do know white pumpkins definitely are. Also, you do not need to worry about washing your brush between this, because we're just going to be dipping from green to green. It's not a big deal. As I said, I'm almost out of green, so I'm just taking it out of the container. You do want to make sure you keep a nice point on your brush. So if you don't have a nice point, just get your paper towel and make a nice point. There we go. We got our set of green there. We're going to do the same right over here. Ooh, that one made it all the way down. And follow this stem down. There we go. We are also going to add some black on here, but we're going to wait till that dries a little more. We're going to go take a trip to our green again. This time we do want to wash our brush, make sure our brush is nice and clean. We're going to take our bigger brush, make sure it's nice and clean. We don't want any white or blue on it. All of our blue and white paint should be dry by now. So you're going to go and dip your brush, the flat part, make sure it's nice and flat. Dip the flat end in, and we're going to make a messy line of grass. Just a messy line. Just a messy, messy line. And this is going to be our grass patch that our pumpkin is on. You can make it go up as high on the pumpkin as you want. You can make it go as low. You can make it go all the way to the bottom of the painting if you want. That's fine, because like I said, this is your art. And you're just making a messy line along the bottom and just going across the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit of that lighter green. Hopefully I can get some out of there. And I'm just going to dab it through there. I don't want a lot of the lighter green. I'm just doing little dabs through here. Give it some color and texture. There we go. So we got our grass line finished. I believe our stems should be pretty dry. So we're going to go back to that round brush again. Rinse that one off. It's the same one we were using for our leaves. Or you can use your flat brush, I guess. I like the rounder brush better. We're going to glob. I don't know if you can see. I just globbed it on my brush. Just a big glob of that bronze paint. And I'm going to push it up here. Put it up here. I want you to see what I'm doing. I'm just going to pat it down on here. I'm not spreading it. I'm patting it. It's going to give it a nice, thick coat. So that's what you're going to do for your stem. So go through each stem and you're just going to pat it on nice and thick. So you have a nice thick coat of the gold, bronze, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, a tiny bit goes a long way. So you should definitely have enough for everything we need to do with it. So don't get too carried away and crazy so you have none left. We will still need a little bit to add to our background. Okay, so there we go. You have your nice golden stem and it has a little bit of texture because of us patting it on instead of just painting it on. Gives it some nice stemmy texture. Okay, we're going to do the same for the large pumpkin. Again, I'm just flipping mine around. And I'm just patting it on. I'm not smearing in any way. I am just patting this on. I want that nice textured look. I guess I could say I'm dabbing it on. I guess that would be the right word to use. I'm going to do that for the whole pumpkin. Stem, not the whole pumpkin stem. We do need the pumpkin stem to be dry. So hopefully it dries soon, or than later. Definitely sooner than later. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our skinny brush again. You're going to rinse it, make sure it's clean. You're going to take the point and make sure you twist it into you're going to take the tip and make sure you twist it into a nice point. And what you're going to do is take your black paint and we're going to start outlining everything. You can do the outlining in blue if you want. You can do the outlining in the gold if you have enough. I don't think it'll smear very well, but I'm going to do mine in the black. And what you're going to do is you're just going to outline almost everything. So we can still see the outlines of the pumpkin that I sketched out for you. So you're just going to follow that and draw a nice line. You're going to have to keep reloading the paint. If you do not, it's going to get flat looking. You don't want that. So my issue is I have a hard time making a straight line, as I told you. So mine will be a very organic looking pumpkin. So there, you're just going to trace the outline of the pumpkin. So you're going to follow all the pre-drawn lines that I created for you and sketch out the pumpkin. And for me, I'm going to be turning my painting all which ways as I do this. As I said, make sure you reload. I'm going to show you what it looks like when you don't reload. Be very careful going around that gold. You don't want to smear that. Okay, so when you don't reload and you just keep going, that's what it starts to look like. you start to run out, and it gives a really dry kind of look because you can see like the white through it. So you just want to make sure you keep reloading, keep that point nice and sharp. And come on down with your pumpkin. Okay, I'm going to do the one other side. What's nice about this step, it's the step where you can hide some little mistakes that you might have made. Okay, so we have the little pumpkin outlined. Now, also with the little pumpkin, there were other lines. If you don't want to do this step, that's fine, but we're going to add some highlighting details. I'm just making that point with my brush, but you definitely can dip the end of your brush in, get a little paint, and make your dots that way. Give you a nice smoother look. I'm just using my brush to go for the sake of time for you guys. There we go. So our little pumpkin is done. Now, well, not the whole pumpkin, because we still got to go back to that stem after it dries. So we're going to go, and I'm going to do the same thing for the larger pumpkin. Got paint all over me. Problem is, all the paint around the larger pumpkin seems to still be wet. Okay, I will be quiet during this time so I can concentrate. Getting in all these little areas between the leaves. Okay. Make sure I know exactly where it's at. Oops. For me, for some reason, it's easier to do it upside down. Okay, that line's a little shaky. Ooh. Then I'm just going to fill in where it would be here. And coming down there. This is where it's going to show that I'm nervous. Is the fact I'm not going to be able to draw a straight line without it getting all wonky. I'm struggling because all my paint's still wet because I'm rushing to get this done for you guys. I did think about bringing out the blow dryer, but you know what? It's the evening. Nobody wants to hear a blow dryer on. So I dried it quickly, so I just have to strategically find places where the paint's not wet. Okay, make sure you don't get any of the black on the stem. At least not yet. Okay, oops, I got to do up around the stem. And then my little highlights. I don't know that I'm following the exact ones that I had. Ooh, that one's horrible. Don't mind the big one. Like I said, you can definitely do dipping your pencil in, oh my goodness, dipping your paintbrush end in, and that would be fine. There we go. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to, stem's still pretty wet, but I want to do the stem. So we are going to, because I want to do the background last, because that's going to take up so much space. So what we're going to do is just outline the stem. This is an optional, but I feel like it just makes it pop out more. Remember to keep loading so you don't run out. Okay, so we got that stem highlighted. Outlined. We're going to do this stem. Look at how nice this is coming together. So like I said, make sure you trust the process. Even though you might have started out with just a blue blob and some ovalish shapes painted white or whatever color you choose, trust the process. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our swirl off of our pumpkin. I already have that swirl drawn out for you. If you want to make your own, that's fine. But what I'm going to show you is when you make your swirl, you need to follow it all the way through to the end. Oh my, I didn't even get it to go. All the way through to the end. Don't stop. Even when you run out of paint, don't stop. Keep going, because you can go back and fill it in. You want to have a nice, smooth swirl. You want your paintbrush nice and pointy. And here we go. We're going to do our first swirl on our pumpkin. Just going to go right off the pumpkin and swirl. And there you go. We're going to go to the top one up here. We're going to go just right off that pumpkin and swirl. So I ran out of paint. That's fine. I kept going, even though I ran out of paint, because you can go back and fill it in. And there we go for my swirl on my other pumpkin. Now we are going to go back to the stems and start adding some details on the stem. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to lightly, because this gold is still a little wet, I'm just going to go and do a little extra outline on the stem. Lightly, because my gold is still a little wet. And I'm just going to follow it up. See that? Okay, you can add more highlighting on there wherever you would like. And we're going to add a little white. So rinse your brush off very good. And we're going to just add some white to help it stand out just a little more. Make sure you have a really nice point again. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and right alongside this black, in between the two black lines I have, I'm going to draw some white. So between the black outline and the black accent line or shadowing line, I'm just going to add a little bit of white. Down here, I'm going to add a little bit of white. Smaller pumpkin, same thing. Going to put some white in right between. And then I'm going to just add a little white coming up the side. Then, make sure that brush is nice and pointy. We're going to follow that black swirl and add some white to it. Just go right alongside of it. And just add some white. The nice part is it's already been drawn for us, so it makes it slightly easier to do. Go ahead and do it at the top. If you want to add gold to it, you're more than welcome to do that as well. There we go so far. Now we're going to go and we are going to get our black. Make sure that point brush is nice and pointy again. Dip it into the black. And we are going to make the lines in our fence. So as I said, we have one board going across the top and when we have our boards going down. So we're going to go across and we're going to go down. I like to go down first so that when I go across, I can cover up any mistakes. So I'm definitely going to go down. Like I said, you turn your canvas any way you need to do it. So I just made that first line, following the outline that's already there for me. Get the little one above the pumpkin stem. So there are 4 lines here total. Okay. So then you're going to end up with your 4 lines for the wood slats on your pumpkin. All right, we're going to hit that one going across as well, so just follow it along. And this is an old weathered fence, so if your line's not perfectly straight, it's not the end of the world because this is just an old weathered fence. Gives it more character. There you go, straight across. Now, if I wipe some of my paint off. Down at the bottom, on the left side, you have a line that's starting at the bottom of the fence. And you could just go ahead and mark that line there. There's a little one over here, or you should have a little line like right there. Oops, I'm holding it out of the way. So that's what it looks like now at the bottom. I'm also going to take this black and add a little black to my stem. So it stands out a little bit. Just make sure it's very sharp point and just go right through that stem, adding that black. Keep that point very sharp. Do the same on the other side. We are almost done, but the fun parts are about to start before we end. Okay, with that black, you're also going to add a little black to your leaves, and then we're going to be done with our leaves. You're just adding some little black to give some shadowing. I'm putting it on the bottom side of the leaf to look like there is shadowing on the underside of the leaf. No rhyme or reason to how I'm doing it, besides trying to make it look like shadowing. Just little swoop shapes on the underside of the leaf. So like I said, it'll look like shadowing. Then I'm going to go to the other side and do the same. Top one, I'm going to do it on both sides. Just the underside to give some shadowing to the leaf. If you accidentally get it on the other side, it doesn't really matter. So you have some shadowing in your leaf. Now the next part we're going to do is we're going to get that medium brush, that little blue flat one. We're going to dip it into the black just lightly. And we're going to follow and make some a shadow down here. And we're just going to follow this down across the bottom underneath the green to make a little shadow. Definitely doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a little shadow. You can make it go as far as you want. Okay, we are going to add some more black with our palette knife in a minute, but you're just making a shadow underneath there. Okay, next step. We're going to take the back of our paintbrush, dip it in white, and we're going to add the dots to our leaves. Just 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If you have a different pattern you want to do, you can. But we're just adding dots on our leaves towards the base of the leaf. Nothing spectacular, just some dots. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2. You need to reload frequently. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You want to switch it up in some places? Put 2. That'd be perfectly fine. If you want to put 1, that's fine. Just adding some more detail to make our picture have more character. And you're going to continue that for all of the leaves. Okay, all the leaves are done. Now, the next step is to get your palette knife. Every kit did have just a different one, so it doesn't matter what palette shape knife you have. So you can have any kind, that's going to work. What we're going to do is we're going to start with the white because it's going to be the easiest to wipe off our brush. Just put a little white on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it. You don't want a lot. You just want a little bit. And we're going to drag it through our painting. We're trying to keep it on the background. We don't really want to add it to our pumpkin. So be careful in that. This is just adding it to the fence to give that fence some more of a weathered look. Also add it across the bottom. I'm going to lay it down so I can do it real quick. Okay. That's quite a bit of white. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some black in there. So wipe off your palette knife. Just get a paper towel, baby wipe off your palette knife. Tiny, tiny bit of black because black goes a long way. Tiny, tiny bit of black. I'm using the side of my knife. I'm not going to lay it flat for the black because it's such an overpowering color. So I'm just going to use the side. And I'm just going to drag that black through. And whatever gets on there, gets on there. Because this is black. So we don't want to totally take over the painting here. You can even use the tip and pull it down through there like that. However you want to add that color in there. Of course, add it to the bottom. All right. All righty. Now we're going to wipe off that black and go back to that gold. And this is the color that is going to be our final color that we really want to have the most of it. So, because this is kind of what's making the picture fun, is this nice bronze color. So we're just going to take it. I have it on my palette knife. I'm going to start out with the side so I don't overload it. And I'm just going to start out with the side of it and pulling it through. As I start using it up, I can start lightly tapping it. But I'm going to start mainly with the side because I don't want too much globs. And with this shape, I could just like pull it through nicely. Just go and pull it through. And then, of course, we want to add it to the bottom as well. I actually want a little bit of it in the grass, I think. And there we go. For the palette knife section, I haven't really added anything over there. So that's the palette knife look that you get. It gives it that nice, textured, rustic look and just adds a little bit of fun to it. Okay, next thing you're going to do, which is the final step, is you are going to get the container of glitter. If you do not want glitter on your pumpkin, do not do this step. But if you want the glitter on your pumpkin, definitely do this step. You're going to get, it doesn't matter which paintbrush you get for this at all. You're just going to, you can get the big paintbrush, the little paintbrush, it doesn't matter. And you're just going to fill, let me get a bigger paintbrush because that's not going to work out for me. And you're just going to fill your painting, your pumpkin up with the glitter. You're just going to paint it right on there. I do need to get this out, so I need a second to get it out of the jar. You may need to, out of the container that it's in, use your palette knife to get it out of the container as well, because it's very thick. And all you do, just spread that, paint it right on there. And like I said, it's really thick, so just keep brushing to get it spread through. You can cover as much, you can cover as little as you want. Just make sure before you do this final step that your pumpkin is dry. It would be a horrible mess to go through your whole painting, add this final touch, and something wasn't dry. So I'm trying to avoid the stem in case it's not dry enough. And just adding it to all my pieces of my pumpkin. Okay. You can add it to more than just your pumpkin if you like. I'm just adding it to the pumpkin. And there you go with your final painting. Like I said, yours will be on the canvas, so it is going to be significantly larger than what I just painted. So, hopefully you enjoy your painting and have happy painting times. And I would love for you, when you finish your paintings, to share them to my Facebook page so that we can see your wonderful work of art. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.